Hello, we're going to do a guided drawing of Jack and then of Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. If you have seen that movie, it's a Tim Burton movie, and if you've seen anything by Tim Burton, it tends to have a very specific look to it. The Corpse Bride is another example. Frankenweenie. He has done more realistic movies as well, but the ones that are kind of claymation or animation, definitely tend to have that same look. Big eyes, kind of sunken in. Everything kind of has like a grayish tone to it. It's not very bright colors. So we're going to draw Jack and Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. All right, so I'm just going to be using just a dry erase board. You could do this on paper if you want to try to paint it. You could do it on canvas. So if you've ever seen Jack Skellington, his head is pretty much round. So that's where we're going to start, is a circle. Now you can draw this as big as you want or as small as you want. I'm going to draw mine pretty big. But if you want to be able to add Sally right next to him after I draw Sally, you might draw him smaller so you can fit both of them. Actually, I might do that too. I'll use kind of this side to draw Jack, and then I'll draw Sally on this side, and I'll just move the board over later. We're going to focus mostly on like the head of these characters, the head and neck and shoulder area. But if you want to draw even smaller, then you could go ahead and look up pictures and add in the bodies later on if that's what you want to do. So once again, we're just going to start with a circle for Jack's head. He has two great big eyes that are round, but I'm going to draw it kind of where he kind of looks like he has his brows furrowed, even though he doesn't have eyebrows. So I'm going to draw those lines first, and they're going to be towards the center, but they're going to curve kind of down and then up, down and then up. And that's kind of like a grumpy, scary face that he has. I don't know the best way to describe it. And then we'll draw a line down. And whatever I do on one side, I'm going to do the other. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. If you look at pictures of him, they're usually not, but you do want it close. And then it's just going to come up, and we're going to curve and connect to that top part. Okay. He is skeleton-like, so he does have these kind of little nostril areas, and they're almost like a little, kind of like a drop shape. If I were to draw it bigger, it's kind of more like this, but because it is tiny and I'm using a dry erase board and the marker doesn't draw too super thin, I'm just going to kind of do it like this. It ends up filling it in, but it is black, so eventually you could color it in black anyways. And then he has a giant smile from one side to the other, and he has the lines to show his teeth. Once again, he's skeleton-like. You could just draw the line straight through like that if you wanted to, or if you'd prefer, you could do the lines that go up first and then go back and draw lines that go down, however you'd rather do it. One last detail we could add is just a line kind of up here to show once again, kind of like where the eyebrow is, even though it's not. But if you don't want those lines, that's perfectly fine. You can leave it without. When you go to color, paint, whatever you're going to do, or if you're doing this digital, of course, these would be filled in black. Now he has a thin neck, and we'll just draw it down. It's kind of long, but not really that long. And then he has like this bat bow tie thing that he wears. So we're gonna start at the center, that little bat creature. So we'll do kind of like a straight line across to be the top of the bat's head, and then it's like an ear and an ear that point up. Sorry, you guys can't see that. Let me erase and do that again. Okay, so I'm gonna make the neck touch, and then a curved line for the top, or mostly straight line, I mean, for the top of the head, and then kind of like pointed ears up on each side. And then it's gonna come down kind of to a point at the bottom. And this little creature does have, or this little bow tie thing has 2 white eyes, and the tie is black. And then it's gonna go out to the side, and it's gonna have 3 points. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. This whole thing is black. So once again, if you were painting, we're gonna color in later. If you know him, you know this, or you can always look up pictures. So Jack Skellington is what you look up. So there's just a very top part of him. Once again, if you wanted to add more, you could. He has like an open part in his like jacket here, and then there's the outside of his jacket. And this is striped, so it'd be harder to add, but then you could add his arms, which are pretty thin. And that takes me to the bottom of my board. But you could, of course, do it differently. And once again, this is going to be dark and striped. This part, if that kind of helps you see. Marker's dying. Okay, so there's Jack. So now we're gonna add in Sally. So let me scoot my board over some. And I probably should have drawn him a little bit smaller so I have a little more room for Sally, but we will make it work. So Sally's head is going to be mostly round too, but her chin is a little more pointed than Jack's. So I'm gonna draw her head just slightly below his, because he's pretty tall. So the top of her head, I'm gonna do slightly below his. And then I'll come around. Oops. At the bottom though, I'm going to have it be a little bit pointed. So instead of it being perfectly round, it's gonna be a little pointed here at the bottom. Now she has great big eyes as well. Actually, we'll go ahead and add in her hair first. So we're gonna jump down a little bit from the top of her head, kind of put a mark. The hair kind of curves down and then it goes to the sides of her face. Okay, and so you'll be able to erase these lines later on because her hair will be there. This is her part if you want to add her part and add the lines to help show where her hair splits apart at the part you can. So then she has And I think I made her chin too pointy. So actually I'm gonna erase and fix. My apologies. It's harder for you to do so. We just don't want it perfectly round, but we still want it mostly round. So I'm gonna start with her lips and work my way up to her eyes, but make sure you leave plenty of room for her eyes because they are pretty big. So her lips, I'll do a curved line at the bottom. Let me see if I have a different marker because I don't know how well you guys can even see this one since it's I have a brown one. Let's see. Okay. So it's gonna be a curved line on the bottom. And her lips are gonna be pretty, actually, I already did them too big, I think. They're gonna be pretty small, kind of here, just in the middle part of her face, because the rest of her mouth is stitched along the sides. So the bottom lip, and then the top lip will have the little points, and then the line in between. That's not the best example. It's hard to draw with this. If you're using pencil, it'd be much easier. And then off to the sides on both sides, you're gonna continue that mouth line out and add lines to be the stitch marks. You can do straight or little X's or kind of both because her mouth is stitched up there. Her nose, we're just gonna add just the indication of the bottom of it and then just where it goes up a tiny bit. Her nose is pretty small and it sticks out a little bit, but you don't see it too much. So then her great big eyes are mostly round, but they kind of have a little bit of a point to them. So it's gonna be a little bit pointed on the inside. And they're gonna kind of go up. Actually, I need to make them a little bit bigger. The bottom corner and the top corner are kind of at a slight angle. She's gonna have great big eyes. I'm struggling today. Okay. A little too big on that side. Okay. Inside her eye, she just has one little circle. Now through this side, on this eye, she has a stitch mark that goes up through the eye and onto her forehead. So you could add the little X's or the little lines, however you want to do it, to add that stitch mark to her. So her hair, it kind of came like this, right? We have the part, and then the rest is going to come down. You're going to continue these two lines kind of side by side. The rest will go behind her neck. So her neck is kind of long and skinny. So we'll kind of draw it in. And then her shoulders kind of slope down. Adjust this one a little bit so it's not quite so. There we go. Her hair does go behind her shoulders. So if you want to, you can just kind of cut off the hair, okay? Now, let's see. We're just gonna see just like the top of her dress. It kind of has like a V-neck, so just we'll do it just like this. And then we need to add some of the stitch marks that she has. So she has one goes straight around her neck. Okay. And then she has one that's further down around like the base of her neck. Once again, you could be putting straight lines, you could be putting like X's, however you want those stitch marks to look. And then she has one that goes straight down. So it's gonna cross over this one, it's gonna go straight down. If you are coloring, her skin is blue, and her hair is a red color. And then this top part of her dress is a yellow. If you want to start to add where it looks like the sleeves are connected, you can. So you could just add like that. And then these will also be stitch lines. That's where her clothing are made up of like different patches of different clothing. So it's like yellow over here. It's like patterned over here. It's like pink or brown, I think. But so that's Sally. If you wanted to add the pattern over here, actually, I think it's swirls. Okay, and then this sleeve is green, this sleeve is yellow, I believe. So there's our Jack and Sally. You could draw them separate together. And then once again, if you want to draw their heads smaller, you could look up pictures and add in their bodies. His is pretty like thin. He's skeleton-like, so just pretty skinny. And hers, you'd have to add in her dress and then her legs, her feet, her arms, and then try to include all those stitch marks to help show that she was stitched back together, because she's supposed to be like lab created. Kind of like a zombie brought back to life, or like Frankenstein. But so there's Jack and Sally. I've never drawn them before. I don't know if you have, but it was a fun attempt. Adding color, of course, is really going to help show who these characters are. And actually, I'm thinking, does she have eyelashes? I think she does. So we might add in eyelashes real fast. But otherwise, that is it. So let me just add in eyelashes. Just going to do 3. Like that. 1, 2, 3, like that. So there they are. Once again, on paper, it'd be much easier with the pencil to add a little bit more detail. And then, of course, add color. Okay. Bye.